A little update on the Jeep, and this is going to be a lesson or a really helpful hint, I think, for people who are following along or people who find this video in the future. And if you're wondering, I went on a date today, so I've been broken up with my ex-girlfriend from the last 8 years for the last like maybe 5-6 months now, and finally went on a date, and it went pretty well. But we went to Applebee's, and the food was terrible. I mean, it was macaroni and cheese with some chicken tenders, and it was basically noodles and some kind of Alfredo sauce. It was not macaroni and cheese, so I I refused to pay for that, which I did not pay for. So other than that, day went great. But onto the onto the truck. So this is what I want to show you guys. There's a bunch of things on here I want to talk about, but I'll make another video for that because this is going to be long if I do that. I need to replace the leaf springs on this truck, which is, I've mentioned this many times. The leaf springs are okay on this side, but this side, the leaf springs are really, really bad. The springs actually rusted in between, and it actually pushed the springs apart. And let me show you what happened. Just those 3 times of driving this truck, ta-da, the springs broke. The bottom spring down here, is this the bottom or... Yeah, the bottom spring down here was already broken off in the front, but I guess these 2 broke off in the rear. So what happened was, as I said, rust got in between these, and it actually pushes them apart like this, and it actually breaks. That's how the springs broke. You can see the hardness. It's just brittle, and it just broke the springs. So the upper spring is actually still good, I think. The mainspring, you can see the mainspring on top. There is rust between the second spring and the mainspring, but I don't think there's any stress or anything on the mainspring. I think it pushed the second spring down and not the main one. So here's the issue. The issue is this. Everybody on the forums, on the full-size Jeep forums, they keep saying that from 76 up, the springs are identical. It doesn't matter if it's the short wheelbase or the long wheelbase. 76 up, the shackles and the mounting positions, they're all the same, so you can use the same leaf spring. As a matter of fact, BJ's and Rusty's and all those companies, their lift kits actually are for 76 up. Doesn't matter what wheelbase, but they're wrong. And let me tell you why they're wrong. It took me 4 to 5 hours today to find the correct part numbers for these leaf springs, and I will give you the part numbers right now. So for the 8-foot bed, the 131-inch wheelbase, the part number is 97,459. Okay? The 97,459 spring, and I'll show you, from the front to the center pin is 25 1/4 inches. From the center pin to the rear is 31 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Now the spring that everybody keeps talking about, that's the same for all the trucks supposedly, is 97,485. These are stock springs, by the way. 97,485. 97,485 from the front to the center pin is 26 inches. So it's 3/4 of an inch longer in the front. And then from the center pin to the rear is 31 inches, so 3/4 of an inch shorter, okay? So that means if I put that spring on this truck, it'll actually pull the axle forward, or would it push it back? I'm not sure. But regardless of the fact, it'll actually throw off the axle, and the drive shaft will be different. The angles will not match up. It'll work, but it just won't be the way it should be. And the axle will look weird in the wheel well as well. So the 8-foot bed and the 7-foot bed, the springs are completely freaking different. A lot of people are saying, well, the springs are the same. All they did was extend the bed a foot right here, but the mounting positions and the springs are the same in the rear. No, they're not. They're absolutely not. All those people have been wrong for the last few decades, and they are absolutely wrong. So again, the 8-foot bed is 97,459 for the J10. The J20 is 97,519. That's a 9-pack leaf spring for 2,400 pounds because that truck was a 1-ton, 3/4-ton truck. Okay, so you can put the 97,519 on here, but just remember, you only have a Dana 44, not a Dana 60. So the problem with this is 97,459 is not being made. You can actually custom order it from Stanley Spring, but it's like a 4 to 5 month back order. I'm not doing that, and I am definitely not putting the spring that everybody says that will work on this thing and shifting my axle and messing up the driveline angles and stuff. I'm not doing that. So what I'm going to do is, because I need new leaf springs. You saw that they're broken. You know what I mean? I need new leaf springs. So I'm going to save the top spring because I think it's okay. It's not cracked or broken or anything, and it's not pushed up or bent. Top spring on both sides. And I'm going to buy that 9745 pack, which is the one that everybody says is compatible with both, wheelbases. And I'm going to take that spring pack apart, and I'm going to use the 3 lower springs and the overload, the flat spring, and put those underneath the main spring of this. Okay? That should be fine because both springs, they are 1,150 to 1,165 pound load capacity. So the load capacity of the springs are the same. The only difference is this is a 4-pack with no overload. The other one is a 4-pack with an overload. So I'm going to put the overload on it because that's what that other one came with. So the springs might be slightly different, so it must need that overload. But I need to save the top spring in order to keep the driveline angles the same and just replace the bad lower 3 springs with the new ones. That's what I'm going to do. A couple people from Stanley and all those people said that they wouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. They're just saying that because they don't want to be liable for anything, but they're just leaf springs. I know each leaf spring has a different, arch or whatever. But literally the only difference between the springs is 3/4 of an inch in length. Basically, if you take the center pin on this and you drill it 3/4 of an inch forward on the other spring, you can actually put the whole thing on there and it'll keep the driveline angle the same. But I don't want to drill into leaf springs because I don't want to cause any weak spots or anything. So again, the short wheelbase, 119-inch, J10 or J20, can use the 97,485. That's the spring that the Cherokees, the Wagoneers, the Grand Wagoneers all use. Okay? The long wheelbase, 131-inch, 8-foot bed, J10 is 97,459. The J20 is 97,519. So this is just an informative video. If anybody has these trucks and if they, find this video down the road, they know what part numbers these things actually came with. Don't listen to the people on the forums because they are wrong. And the reason why the people who sell these lift kits, from whatever, say that they're compatible with the short and the long wheelbase is just because they don't want to make a short one, a long wheelbase one. They just want one spring for all of them. But it's actually, that one spring is still 3/4 of an inch off, okay? So if you put those on your truck, you're still moving your axle in the wrong position. So just be mindful of that. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. I don't want to repeat myself for a 10th time. You already have the part numbers. You can rewind the video if you need them. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be saving the top spring, just replacing the lower 3. Hopefully the top spring is in good shape. I'll find out, when I order the springs and take it all apart. I'll look at it and make sure it's not cracked or anything like that, but pretty sure the top spring on this side is fine. These are definitely fine. They're not split apart. They're not rusted, but you should replace them in pairs, so I'm going to do both sides. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys.